The pregnant woman's scream cut through the parking lot like broken glass. She hit the concrete hard, both hands clutching her swollen belly, blood dripping from her split lip onto the cold pavement. The man standing over her laughed, gold chains swinging against his chest. "Shoulda watched where you were going, fat cow." He raised his hand for another strike. 3 of his crew blocked the store entrance, grinning. No one was coming to help. No one dared. But they didn't see the pickup truck pulling in behind them. They didn't know the man stepping out had spent 15 years learning how to end threats permanently. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And if this story touches your heart, please subscribe and stay with us until the very end. Now, let the story begin. Sarah Mitchell had been counting down the hours for 8 months. 243 days since Danny shipped out. 243 nights of sleeping alone, her hand pressed against the empty pillow beside her, praying to God he'd come home safe. 243 mornings of waking up afraid that today would be the day 2 uniformed officers knocked on her door. But today was different. Today, he was coming home. She checked her phone again as she pulled into the gas station. His flight had landed in Norfolk 3 hours ago. He'd texted that he was picking up Shadow from the military canine facility and driving straight home. 2 more hours, maybe less. Sarah's hand moved to her belly, where their son kicked against her palm. "Almost, little one," she whispered. "Daddy's almost home." She needed prenatal vitamins. The pharmacy had been closed when she'd driven past earlier, but the gas station convenience store carried a small selection. It would have to do. Sarah stepped out of her car carefully. At 7 months pregnant, every movement required calculation. Her auburn hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders, and she wore a light blue maternity dress that Danny had bought her before he deployed. He'd said the color matched her eyes. She walked into the store and headed for the health aisle. That's when she saw them. 4 men crowded around the energy drink cooler. Young, loud, dressed in expensive streetwear that didn't match the working-class town. Gold chains, designer sneakers, the kind of men who wanted everyone to know they had money and weren't afraid to show it. The leader was obvious. Shaved head, tattoos crawling up his neck, muscles straining against his jacket. His eyes were cold and flat, like a shark's. Sarah recognized him. Everyone in Cedar Bay knew Marcus Drake. She kept her head down and moved toward the vitamins. Don't make eye contact. Don't engage. Just get what you need and leave. But as she reached for the bottle on the shelf, Marcus stepped backward without looking. His elbow caught her arm. The energy drink in his hand went flying, exploding against the floor in a spray of neon liquid. "What the hell?" Marcus spun around, his face twisting with rage. "I'm so sorry," Sarah said quickly, stepping back. "I didn't see you." "You didn't see me?" Marcus's voice rose. "Are you blind or just stupid?" "I'm sorry, I'll pay for it." "You're damn right you'll pay for it." The store clerk behind the counter looked away. The other customers suddenly found the magazine rack very interesting. Sarah reached for her purse. "How much was it? I don't want your money." Marcus stepped closer, towering over her. His breath smelled like alcohol and menthol. "I want an apology. A real one. On your knees." Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. "Please, I said I was sorry." "I said on your knees." "I'm pregnant. I can't." Marcus's hand shot out and grabbed her arm. His grip was brutal, fingers digging into her flesh hard enough to bruise. "I don't care if you're the Virgin Mary. When I tell you to do something, you do it." "Let go of me!" Sarah tried to pull away. Marcus yanked her forward, and she stumbled, barely catching herself. "You know who I am?" Marcus's voice dropped to a hiss. "My family owns this town. My daddy's on the city council. The cops answer to us. The judges answer to us. Nobody tells me no. Nobody." "Please," Sarah's voice cracked. "My baby." "Should have thought about that before you got in my way." He shoved her. Sarah went down hard, her knees hitting the tile floor, her hands flying out to break her fall. Pain shot through her wrists, her knees, her belly, where the impact had jarred her. The baby kicked frantically inside her, panicked by the sudden violence. "That's better." Marcus stood over her, smiling. "Now apologize." Sarah looked up at him through tears of pain and humiliation. Around her, the store was silent. The clerk was staring at his register. The customers had their backs turned. No one was going to help her. I'm sorry," she whispered. Louder. "I'm sorry." "For what?" For bumping into you." Marcus laughed. "That wasn't so hard, was it?" He turned to his crew, who were grinning like wolves watching prey. "See? That's how you teach these people respect." Sarah tried to stand. Her legs were shaking so badly she could barely get her feet under her. Marcus turned back, his expression darkening. "Did I say you could get up?" "Please, I need to—" He slapped her. The blow was open-handed but vicious, snapping Sarah's head to the side. She tasted blood. Her vision swam. She fell again, this time landing on her side, her arms instinctively wrapping around her belly to protect her child. "Stupid cow," Marcus spat on the floor beside her. "Somebody should have taught you manners a long time ago." He raised his foot, positioning it over her midsection. "Maybe I need to give your kid a lesson too," Sarah screamed. And that's when the door opened. The man who walked in didn't look like much at first glance. Jeans, a navy blue Henley, work boots. His dark hair was cut short, flecked with gray at the temples. A small scar marked the skin above his right eyebrow. But there was something in the way he moved, something in the way his steel blue eyes swept the room in a single glance, cataloging threats, calculating distances, planning responses. This was a man who had walked into dangerous places his entire adult life. And he had just walked into another one. Sarah. The name came out quiet, controlled, but it cut through the chaos like a blade. Marcus's foot stopped mid-swing. He turned toward the voice. "Who the hell are you?" The man didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on Sarah, on the blood dripping from her lip, on the way she was curled around her pregnant belly on the floor. Something shifted in his expression. Something cold and terrible and absolute. "I said, who are you?" Marcus stepped forward, puffing up. "You got a death wish, old man?" "Danny." Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "Danny, don't—" Marcus's head snapped toward her. "Danny? This your husband or something?" He laughed, looking Danny up and down. "This is what you married? Some old guy who looks like he pumps gas for a living?" Marcus gestured to his crew. "Should have aimed higher, sweetheart." Danny still hadn't moved. He stood just inside the doorway, perfectly still, his hands loose at his sides. "You're going to step away from my wife," Danny said. His voice was soft, almost gentle. "You're going to apologize, and then you're going to leave." Marcus blinked, then burst out laughing. "Apologize? You hear this clown?" He looked at his crew, who were laughing along. "Old man walks in here acting like he's somebody." "I'm giving you one chance." Danny's voice didn't change. "One. Don't waste it." "Or what?" Marcus stepped closer, chest puffed out, chin raised. "You gonna fight me? You gonna fight all four of us?" "In case you can't count, Grandpa, that's 4 against 1. Danny's lips twitched. Not quite a smile. "I can count." "Then you know you're gonna get your ass beat." "No." Danny shook his head slowly. "I know you're going to stop talking soon." Marcus's face reddened. Nobody talked to him like this. Nobody. "That's it," He reached into his jacket and pulled out a knife. The blade gleamed under the fluorescent lights. "I'm going to cut you up and leave you bleeding on the floor next to your fat wife." Marcus lunged. What happened next took less than 3 seconds. Danny stepped sideways, his hand shooting out to catch Marcus's knife arm. He twisted, and the crack of Marcus's wrist breaking echoed through the store like a gunshot. The knife clattered to the floor. Marcus screamed. Danny's other hand came up, palm striking Marcus's chin, snapping his head back. Before Marcus could fall, Danny grabbed the front of his jacket and drove his knee into his stomach. All the air left Marcus's body in a single whoosh. Danny released him, and Marcus crumpled to the floor, gasping, cradling his broken wrist, his face gray with shock and pain. 3 seconds, start to finish. Marcus's crew stood frozen, their grins gone, replaced by something that looked a lot like fear. Danny looked at them. "Anyone else?" Nobody moved. "I didn't think so." Danny walked past them to Sarah. He knelt beside her, his hard expression melting into concern. "Hey, I'm here. Are you okay?" Sarah couldn't speak. She was shaking so hard her teeth were chattering. But she reached for him, and he pulled her into his arms, holding her close. "The baby," she managed. "Danny, what if—" "We're going to the hospital, right now." Danny helped her stand, supporting most of her weight. "Can you walk?" "I think so." "Good. Lean on me." As they moved toward the door, Marcus struggled to his knees. "You're dead," he gasped, clutching his shattered wrist. "You hear me? You're both dead. My father will—" Danny stopped. He turned slowly, and Marcus flinched at the look in his eyes. "Your father." Danny's voice was ice. "Victor Drake, city councilman, owns half the businesses in Cedar Bay, has the police in his pocket and judges on his payroll." Marcus's face went pale. "How do you—" "I know a lot of things." Danny stepped closer, and Marcus scrambled backward. "I know your family has been running drugs through this town for 15 years. I know you've been moving girls through the port. Teenagers, most of them. I know about the 3 witnesses who tried to testify and ended up dead." "You can't prove any of that." "Maybe not yet." Danny crouched down, bringing his face level with Marcus's. "But here's what I can prove. You just assaulted a pregnant woman in front of multiple witnesses and a security camera." Marcus's eyes flicked to the camera mounted in the corner. His face went even paler. "That's assault. Battery. Assault on an unborn child." Danny's voice was almost conversational. "In North Carolina, that's a Class A1 misdemeanor, unless you cause serious injury, in which case it becomes a felony. And if anything happens to my son because of what you did today, I promise you, I will personally ensure that you spend the rest of your miserable life in a federal prison." "You can't! My father—" "Your father can't help you." Danny stood. "Your father can't help himself. The walls are closing in, Marcus. The question is whether you're smart enough to see it." Danny turned his back and walked away, guiding Sarah toward the exit. "This isn't over!" Marcus screamed after them. "You have no idea what you just started!" Danny didn't look back. Outside, Sarah saw the pickup truck idling at the edge of the parking lot, and in the passenger seat, a dog was watching through the window. A Belgian Malinois with a dark sable coat and intelligent amber eyes. "Shadow," Sarah breathed. The dog's ears perked at the sound of his name. As Danny helped Sarah into the truck, Shadow leaned forward from the back seat and pressed his nose against her shoulder. "He missed you," Danny said, climbing behind the wheel. "Whined for a week after I shipped out. Drove his handler crazy." Sarah reached back and buried her fingers in Shadow's fur. The dog's warmth was comforting, solid, real. Danny, her voice broke. How did you... the things you said to him? Not now. Danny's jaw was tight as he pulled out of the parking lot. Hospital first, then we talk. But, Sarah. He glanced at her, and she saw something in his eyes she'd never seen before. Fear. Real fear. I need to make sure you're okay. I need to make sure our son is okay. Everything else can wait. Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her face. I thought you weren't coming home until tonight. Flight got in early. I drove straight through. Danny reached over and took her hand. His grip was warm, strong, alive. I was 20 minutes away when I got this feeling, I don't know how to explain it, like something was wrong. So you came to the gas station? I saw your car in the parking lot, saw those guys blocking the door. His hand tightened on hers. I saw you through the window, on the floor. Danny, 8 months. His voice cracked. 8 months I've been gone, and the one day I come home, some punk puts his hands on you. It's not your fault. I should have been here. You're here now. Sarah squeezed his hand. That's what matters. Shadow whined softly from the back seat. Danny glanced in the rearview mirror. I know, boy, I know. At the hospital, the doctors confirmed what Sarah already sensed. The baby was fine, stressed, but unharmed. She had bruises on her knees and wrists, a split lip, and a mild concussion, but nothing that wouldn't heal. Danny stayed by her side the entire time. He held her hand during the ultrasound, watching the screen as their son's heartbeat filled the room, strong and steady and alive. He's okay, the doctor said with a smile. Active little guy, probably wondering what all the fuss is about. Sarah laughed through her tears. He gets that from his father. Danny didn't smile. His eyes were fixed on the monitor, on the gray and white image of his child, and Sarah could see something shifting behind them. A calculation. A decision. After the doctors left, Danny sat on the edge of her hospital bed and took both her hands in his. I need to tell you something. About what you said to Marcus? About everything. Danny took a breath. Before I deployed, I was briefed on a classified investigation. A joint task force, FBI, DEA, Homeland Security, looking into trafficking networks along the East Coast. Sarah's heart began to pound. Trafficking? Human trafficking. Women, children, moving them through coastal ports and shipping them overseas. Danny's voice was flat, controlled, but she could hear the anger beneath it. One of the main hubs is right here, in Cedar Bay. That's impossible. This is a small town. Everyone knows everyone. That's what makes it perfect. Small town, corrupt officials, a port that doesn't get much federal attention. Danny met her eyes. The Drakes are at the center of it. Victor runs the money. Marcus runs the muscle. They've been operating for over a decade. How do you know all this? Because the task force wanted to recruit me after I got back. They needed someone with my skill set, someone who could get close without getting killed. Sarah's blood ran cold. Danny, no. I said no. He squeezed her hands. I told them I was done. I was coming home to my wife, to my child. I was going to be a husband and a father, not a weapon. So why are you telling me this now? Danny was quiet for a long moment. Because your father's name was in the briefing files. Sarah stopped breathing. Her father, Thomas Miller, accountant, quiet man with a kind smile who taught her to ride a bike and helped her with homework and walked her down the aisle at her wedding. Her father, who died in a car accident 5 years ago. What do you mean his name was in the files? He worked for Victor Drake. Danny's voice was gentle, but his words landed like hammer blows. For 12 years he handled the books for Drake's businesses. And according to the FBI, he was the one who started documenting the trafficking operation. No, Sarah shook her head. No, that's not possible. He was an accountant. He did taxes and payroll, and he was a good man who got in over his head. Danny cupped her face in his hands. He saw what was happening, and he tried to stop it. He started keeping records, evidence. The FBI thinks he was building a case to blow the whole thing open. Then why didn't he? Danny's jaw tightened. Because he died first. His car accident wasn't an accident. The room seemed to tilt. Sarah grabbed Danny's arm to steady herself. You're saying they killed him? The Drakes killed my father? I'm saying the FBI thinks his brake lines were cut. I'm saying he died 3 days before he was supposed to meet with a federal prosecutor. I'm saying Victor Drake was the last person to see him alive. Sarah couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her father's face swam before her eyes. His gentle smile, his tired eyes, the way he'd hugged her goodbye that last morning. I didn't know how to tell you. Danny's voice was raw. I've been carrying this for months, trying to figure out the right way, the right time. And now Marcus Drake just assaulted me in a parking lot. Yes, and when Victor finds out what you did to his son, he's going to come after us. Danny nodded. Both of us. Sarah was silent for a long moment. Her hand moved to her belly, where their son was kicking. What do we do? We have options. We can leave, move somewhere far away, start over, try to disappear. Is that what you want? Danny looked at her, really looked at her. No. Then what? I want to finish what your father started. Danny's voice hardened. I want to take down the Drakes. I want to destroy their operation, free those girls, and make sure Victor spends the rest of his life rotting in a cell. That sounds like a war. It is a war. Danny touched her face. And I understand if you don't want any part of it. I understand if you want to run. But Sarah, if we run, they'll never stop hunting us. And the girls they're trafficking, the families they're destroying, that doesn't stop either. Sarah looked at her husband, at this man she'd married, this warrior, this protector. She thought about her father, who had tried to do the right thing and died for it. She thought about Marcus Drake's smile as he stood over her. She thought about her son growing inside her, about the world he would be born into. Before my dad died, she said slowly, he told me something. He said, if anything ever happens to me, look in the lighthouse. I never understood what he meant. Danny went very still. The lighthouse? The old one at Cedar Point. He used to take me there when I was little. Said it was our secret place. Sarah met his eyes. I think he hid something there, Danny. Evidence, whatever he was gathering. Why didn't you ever look? Because it hurt too much. Because going there reminded me of him. Tears slid down her cheeks. Because I was afraid of what I might find. Danny wiped her tears with his thumb. We'll find it together. Danny, Sarah gripped his hand. If we do this, if we go to war with the Drakes, they could kill us. They could kill our son. I know. I'm scared. So am I. Danny kissed her forehead. But I've spent 15 years learning how to protect people. And there's no one on this earth I will fight harder to protect than you and our child. What about Shadow? Danny almost smiled. Shadow's been waiting his whole life for a mission like this. As if on cue, the Belgian Malinois appeared at the hospital room door, having slipped past the nurses with the stealth of his training. He walked to Sarah's bedside and rested his head on the mattress, his amber eyes soft with concern. Sarah stroked his dark fur. You'll keep him safe, won't you, boy? Shadow's tail wagged once. A promise. Danny's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression darkened. What is it? A text from an unknown number. He showed her the screen. Welcome home, Lieutenant Commander. We should talk. Detective Anna Reyes, Cedar Bay, PD. Do you know her? The name was in the briefing files. She's been investigating the Drakes for years. Danny stared at the message. Her partner was killed 2 years ago, shot in the head. They said it was a robbery gone wrong. But it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Danny's thumb hovered over the screen. What are you going to do? The smart thing would be to ignore it, take you home, lock the doors, and pretend none of this ever happened. But you're not going to do that. No. Danny looked at her. I'm not. He typed a response and hit send. Sarah didn't ask what it said. She didn't need to. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Outside the hospital window, the sun was setting over Cedar Bay, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. The ocean glinted in the distance, beautiful and serene. But beneath that beauty, something dark was stirring. And it was only a matter of time before it rose to the surface. Danny stood at the window, looking out at the town he'd never planned to fight for. I just wanted to come home, he said quietly. I just wanted a normal life. I know. Sarah reached for his hand. But maybe this is why you came home. Maybe this is what you were always meant to do. Danny turned to look at her. His wife, his love, the mother of his child. He thought about the girls being trafficked through the port. About Thomas Miller, who died trying to stop it. About Marcus Drake's smile as he raised his hand to strike. He thought about the oath he'd sworn 15 years ago, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Some enemies wore uniforms and carried weapons. Some wore designer clothes and gold chains, and hid behind the law they corrupted. But in the end, they were all the same. Predators. Parasites. Men who believed power gave them the right to hurt the innocent. Danny had spent his entire adult life hunting men like that, and now one of them had touched his wife. His phone buzzed again. Reyes. Meet me at the old pier. Midnight. Come alone. What I have to show you will change everything. Danny read the message twice. Then he looked at Shadow, who was watching him with knowing eyes. Looks like we're not retired after all, boy. Shadow's ears perked forward. His tail wagged once. Danny almost smiled. That's what I thought. Danny left the hospital at 11:30. Sarah had finally fallen asleep, her hand resting on her belly, her face peaceful for the first time since the attack. He stood beside her bed for a long moment, watching her breathe, memorizing the curve of her cheek, the way her auburn hair spread across the pillow. 8 months he'd been gone. 8 months of sand and blood and missions that would never appear in any official record. 8 months of dreaming about this woman, about coming home, about the life they would build together. And now, that life was under threat. Danny leaned down and kissed her forehead. I'll be back, he whispered. I promise. Shadow was waiting by the door, alert and ready. The Belgian Malinois had refused to leave Sarah's room, positioning himself between her bed and the entrance like a furry sentinel. Stay, Danny commanded softly. Protect. Shadow's ears flattened. He whined once, conflicted. I know, boy, but she needs you more than I do right now. Shadow looked at Sarah, then back at Danny. Finally, he settled onto the floor beside her bed, his amber eyes tracking Danny to the door. Good boy. Danny stepped into the hallway and walked toward the elevator. The hospital was quiet at this hour. just the soft beep of monitors and the distant murmur of nurses. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Same as before. Parking garage. Level 3. Black sedan. Danny's jaw tightened. He didn't like being directed. Didn't like walking into situations he couldn't control. But if Reyes had information about the Drakes, real information, he needed it. The parking garage was cold and empty. Danny's footsteps echoed off the concrete as he moved through the shadows, every sense alert, every muscle ready. The black sedan was parked in the corner, away from the security cameras. Its engine was off, its windows dark. Danny approached slowly. His hand moved to the small of his back, where he'd tucked the compact Glock he always carried. The driver's door opened. A woman stepped out. Early 40s, short black hair, sharp features. She wore a leather jacket over a plain t-shirt, and her eyes had the hollow look of someone who hadn't slept well in years. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell. Her voice was low, careful. Thanks for coming. Detective Reyes. Anna. She extended her hand. Under the circumstances, I think we can skip the formalities. Danny didn't take her hand. You said you had something to show me. Anna let her hand drop, unfazed. I do. But first, I need to know if I can trust you. You reached out to me because I'm desperate. Anna's voice hardened. Because I've spent 3 years building a case against the Drakes, and every time I get close, something happens. Witnesses disappear. Evidence vanishes. Partners die. Your partner, the one who was killed. Marcus Drake shot him in the head. Anna's jaw clenched. Execution style. Made it look like a robbery, but I knew. I always knew. Why hasn't anyone moved on this? Because Victor Drake owns this town. Anna stepped closer, her voice dropping. He has the police chief on payroll. The district attorney owes him favors. Half the city council is in his pocket. Anyone who tries to take him down gets destroyed. Or worse. So why are you still trying? Anna was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was raw. Because Michael wasn't just my partner. He was my husband. Danny's expression didn't change. But something shifted behind his eyes. Understanding, kinship. The Drakes killed your husband. And I'm going to make them pay. Anna opened the back door of the sedan and pulled out a thick folder. Everything I have. 3 years of investigation, financial records, witness statements, surveillance photos. It's not enough to convict, not yet. But it's a start. Danny took the folder and opened it. Even in the dim light of the parking garage, he could see the scope of what Anna had assembled. Shell companies, wire transfers, shipping manifests, photos of Marcus Drake meeting with known traffickers, autopsy reports of victims who'd been dumped in the harbor, and one name that kept appearing over and over again: Thomas Miller. Sarah's father, Danny said quietly. He was the key to everything. Anna moved to stand beside him, pointing at a series of documents. For 12 years, he handled the Drake family finances. He knew where every dollar came from and where it went. When he realized what they were really doing, the trafficking, the murders, he started making copies. And they killed him for it. 3 days before he was supposed to meet with federal prosecutors, Anna's voice was bitter. The FBI had promised him protection, immunity, a new identity for him and his family. Instead, his brakes failed on a mountain road. Danny stared at the documents. His father-in-law, a man he'd never met, who died before Danny and Sarah even started dating. A man who'd tried to do the right thing and paid for it with his life. Sarah doesn't know about any of this. I know. I've been watching your family for months, trying to decide whether to make contact. Anna met his eyes. When I heard what happened at the gas station today, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. How did you hear? I have a source inside the Drake organization. Low level, but reliable. Anna's expression darkened. Victor is furious. You humiliated his son in public, broke his wrist. There are witnesses, security footage. It's all over social media by now. Good. Let him be furious. You don't understand. Victor doesn't get angry. He gets even. Anna grabbed Danny's arm. He's already making calls. By morning, there will be a warrant for your arrest. Assault. Battery. Maybe attempted murder if he can swing it. The gas station footage will mysteriously disappear. The witnesses will change their stories. And you'll be sitting in a cell while Victor decides what to do with your wife. Danny's blood ran cold. They wouldn't dare. They've done it before, many times. Anna's grip tightened. The only reason you're not already in custody is because the Drakes want to handle this themselves. Quietly. Permanently. Let them try. Don't be an idiot. Anna's voice was sharp. You're good. I know you're good. But you're one man against an entire organization. They have police, judges, politicians. Hell, they probably have people in the FBI. You can't fight that alone. Then help me. That's why I'm here. Anna released his arm. I have a contact. Special Agent Thomas Carter, FBI Human Trafficking Task Force. He's been trying to build a case against the Drakes for years, but he keeps hitting the same walls I do. If we combine our evidence, work together, it's still not enough. You said it yourself. Not yet. Anna took a breath. But Thomas Miller left something behind. A complete record of every crime the Drakes ever committed. Proof that could bring down not just Victor, but everyone he's connected to. Where? I don't know. He was paranoid, rightfully so. He hid it somewhere only he knew about. Anna studied Danny's face. But I'm guessing his daughter might have a clue. Danny thought about Sarah's words. The lighthouse. Their secret place. Maybe she does. Then find it. Find the evidence and bring it to me. I'll make sure it gets to Carter, without passing through any hands the Drakes control. Why should I trust you? Anna laughed, but it was a hollow sound. Because I've already lost everything I have to lose. My husband, my career, my reputation. The Drakes have taken it all. The only thing I have left is this case. She met his eyes. And the only thing you have is your family. So we either trust each other or we both lose. Danny was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. I'll find the evidence. Good. Anna pulled a burner phone from her pocket and handed it to him. This is clean. Use it to contact me, never your personal phone. The Drakes have people everywhere. Danny took the phone. One more thing. What? If anything happens to me, you protect my wife. You get her out of Cedar Bay, somewhere the Drakes can't reach. Anna's expression softened, just for a moment. I will. Swear it. I swear. On my husband's grave. Danny nodded. He turned to leave. Mitchell. He looked back. Be careful. Victor Drake has killed better men than you. No. Danny's voice was ice. He hasn't. He walked into the darkness. The next morning, Danny brought Sarah home from the hospital. Their house was a small craftsman cottage on the edge of town, with a white picket fence and a view of the ocean. Sarah had spent months decorating it while Danny was deployed, painting the walls, hanging curtains, preparing the nursery for their son. Now, as Danny carried her overnight bag inside, the house felt different, vulnerable, like a target. Danny, Sarah touched his arm, what did the detective say? A lot. Danny set down the bag and turned to face her. Most of it confirms what I already told you. The Drakes are connected to trafficking. Your father was building a case against them. And now that I've publicly humiliated Marcus, they're going to come after us. What do we do? First, we find whatever your father hid at the lighthouse. Danny took her hands.
Can you tell me more about it? The location? How to get inside?
Sarah sat down on the couch, her hand resting on her belly. Shadow immediately moved to lie at her feet, his amber eyes watchful. It's at Cedar Point, about 3 miles north of town. The lighthouse has been abandoned for decades. The county was supposed to tear it down, but they never had the funding. Her voice grew distant. Dad used to take me there on weekends. We'd climb to the top and watch the ships come in. He said it was our secret place. Nobody else knew about it. Did he ever show you any hiding spots? Loose stones? Hidden compartments? There's a room at the base. Storage, mostly. Old equipment, broken furniture. Sarah frowned, trying to remember. There was a brick in the wall that wobbled. Dad used to keep things behind it. Nothing important, just notes and trinkets. He called it our treasure vault. That's where he hid the evidence. You think so? I know so. Danny knelt in front of her.
Sarah, I need to go there, today, before the Drakes figure out what we're doing. I'm coming with you.
No, absolutely not. Danny, you're 7 months pregnant and you were attacked yesterday. Danny's voice was firm. I'm not putting you in danger again. And I'm not letting you walk into a trap alone. Sarah's chin lifted. That's my father's legacy, my family's truth. I have a right to be there when we find it. Sarah, I'm not asking permission. She met his eyes. I've spent 5 years not knowing why my father died. 5 years believing it was just an accident, just bad luck. If there's evidence that proves the Drakes murdered him, I need to see it. I need to hold it in my hands. Danny saw the determination in her face. The same stubbornness he'd fallen in love with years ago. Fine, but we go now while it's still daylight, and you stay behind me at all times. Agreed. And if anything happens, anything at all, you run. You get to the car and you drive away. Don't look back. Danny, promise me. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. I promise. Danny loaded Sarah into the truck, Shadow jumping into the back seat. As they drove out of town, Danny kept checking the mirrors, watching for tails. Someone's following us, he said quietly. Sarah stiffened. Are you sure? Blue pickup, about a 1/4 mile back. It's been with us since we left the house. What do we do? Nothing yet. Danny's hands tightened on the wheel. Let them think we don't know. They drove in tense silence for another few minutes. The road curved along the coast, cliffs dropping away to the ocean on one side, thick forest on the other. The turnoff is coming up, Sarah said. Just past that old billboard. Danny saw it, a faded advertisement for a seafood restaurant that had closed years ago. Beyond it, a narrow dirt road disappeared into the trees. He turned. The blue pickup kept going on the main road. Danny exhaled. Either they lost us, or they're calling for backup. Which do you think? Backup. Danny accelerated down the dirt road. We don't have much time. The lighthouse appeared through the trees. It was older than Danny had expected, its white paint peeling, its windows dark and broken. A chain-link fence surrounded the base, but the gate hung open, rusted off its hinges. Danny parked the truck and helped Sarah out. Shadow jumped down and immediately began sniffing the perimeter, his body tense with alertness. Stay close, Danny said. They walked through the gate and into the lighthouse. The interior was musty, filled with debris and the smell of salt and decay. Broken furniture lay scattered across the floor. Graffiti covered the walls. This way, Sarah moved toward a door at the back. The storage room. Danny followed, his hand on the Glock at the small of his back. Every instinct was screaming that they were running out of time. The storage room was small and dark. Sarah pulled out her phone and activated the flashlight, sweeping it across the walls. There! She pointed to a section of brickwork near the floor. That's it! Danny knelt and examined the bricks. One of them wobbled slightly under his touch. He pulled out his pocket knife and worked it into the gap, prying the brick loose. Behind it was a small cavity, and inside the cavity was a waterproof case. Danny pulled it out. It was heavier than he expected, sealed tight against the elements. "Open it," Sarah whispered. Danny broke the seal and lifted the lid. Inside were dozens of documents: ledgers, photographs, audio tapes, flash drives. A lifetime of secrets, carefully preserved and hidden away. "Oh my God!" Sarah's voice shook. "He really did it! He documented everything." Danny flipped through the papers. Financial transactions totaling millions of dollars. Photos of Victor Drake meeting with known criminals. Shipping manifests that tracked the movement of human cargo through Cedar Bay's port. And something else. A letter, handwritten, addressed to Sarah. "What is that?" she asked. Danny handed it to her. "I think it's for you." Sarah took the letter with trembling hands. She unfolded it and began to read. Her face crumpled. "Sarah?" "It's from my dad." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "He wrote it the week before he died." She began to read aloud, her voice breaking. "My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the secrets I kept, for the lies I told, for the danger I've put you in. I never wanted this life. I stumbled into it, thinking I could help, thinking I could make a difference. By the time I realized what the Drakes were really doing, I was in too deep to walk away." Sarah paused, wiping her eyes. "I've spent the last 3 years gathering evidence. Everything is here. Proof of their crimes, the names of everyone involved, the locations of their operations. I was supposed to give it to the FBI next week, but I've been followed lately, watched. I don't know if I'll make it." "Sarah," Danny put his hand on her shoulder. She kept reading. "If I don't, I need you to finish what I started. Not for revenge. Revenge will only get you killed. But for justice. For the girls they've taken. For the families they've destroyed. Someone has to stop them, sweetheart. And if I can't be there to do it, I need to know you will." Sarah's voice dropped to a whisper. "I love you more than words can say. You're the best thing I ever did with my life. Stay strong. Stay brave. And remember, the light always finds a way through the darkness. Your father, Thomas." Silence filled the room. Sarah clutched the letter to her chest, sobbing. Danny pulled her into his arms and held her tight. "He knew," she cried. "He knew they were going to kill him, and he did it anyway. He was trying to protect you, protect everyone. And now we have to finish it." "We will." Danny kissed the top of her head. "I promise." Shadow's bark echoed through the lighthouse. Danny went rigid. "Someone's coming." He grabbed the case in Sarah's arm, pulling her toward the door. They emerged from the storage room just as Shadow came racing down the stairs, his hackles raised, a deep growl rumbling in his throat. Through the broken windows, Danny saw them. 3 vehicles, black SUVs, pulling up to the gate. Men poured out, 8, maybe 10, armed. "Back door," Danny hissed. "Now!" They ran. The rear exit opened onto a narrow path that wound through the rocks toward the cliff's edge. Danny pushed Sarah ahead of him, the case tucked under his arm, his gun drawn. "Don't stop," he ordered, "no matter what." Gunfire cracked behind them. Bullets pinged off the rocks. Shadow spun and launched himself at the first pursuer, 70 pounds of trained military canine hitting the man in the chest. The gunman went down screaming. "Shadow, come!" Danny shouted. The dog disengaged and raced after them, blood on his muzzle. They reached the truck. Danny shoved Sarah inside and threw the case onto the seat. Shadow jumped into the back. Danny floored the accelerator. Dirt sprayed as the truck fishtailed onto the road. Behind them, the SUVs were already in pursuit. "Hold on," Danny said. He pushed the truck to its limits, taking curves at speeds that made Sarah grip the door handle with white knuckles. The SUVs fell back, unable to match his driving. "Are we losing them?" For now, Danny's mind raced. They couldn't go home. The Drakes would be waiting. They couldn't go to the police. The police worked for Victor. They needed somewhere safe, somewhere off the grid. His phone buzzed, the burner phone. He answered without looking. "Reyes."
"Mitchell, where are you?"
Anna's voice was urgent. "I just got word. Victor sent a team to the lighthouse." "We know. We're running." "Did you find it? The evidence?" "Yes." "Thank God." Anna's voice flooded with relief. "Listen, I have a safe house, off the books, completely secure. Get to these coordinates." She rattled off an address. "Got it." Danny memorized the location. "We'll be there in 20 minutes. "I'll be waiting, and Mitchell, be careful. Victor's declared open season on you. Every cop, every criminal, everyone on his payroll is looking for you right now." "Let them look." Danny hung up and focused on the road. Beside him, Sarah clutched the case containing her father's legacy. Her face was pale, but her eyes were determined. "We're going to finish this," she said. "For my dad." "For everyone," Danny agreed. In the back seat, Shadow watched the road behind them, alert for threats. And somewhere in Cedar Bay, Victor Drake was about to learn that he'd made a very serious mistake. He'd threatened a SEAL's family. Now, he was going to pay. The safe house was a weathered cabin tucked into the hills, invisible from the main road, surrounded by dense forest that would slow down any vehicle pursuit. Anna Reyes was waiting on the porch when Danny's truck pulled up. She had a rifle slung over her shoulder and a look of grim satisfaction on her face. "You made it." She jogged down the steps to meet them. "I was starting to worry." "We had company." Danny helped Sarah out of the truck. "Lost them about 5 miles back, but they'll regroup." "Let them." Anna's eyes fell on the case in Danny's hands. "Is that it?" "Everything Thomas Miller gathered. 15 years of evidence." Anna took the case and opened it. Her face went pale as she flipped through the documents. "My God, this is everything." Her voice trembled. "Financial records, witness statements, shipping manifests. He even has recordings. Victor Drake on tape discussing shipments." "Can we use it?" "We can bury them with it." Anna looked up, her eyes bright with fierce hope. "I need to get this to Agent Carter immediately. If we move fast, we can have federal warrants by tonight." "Tonight?" Sarah stepped forward. "Is that possible?" "With evidence like this? The FBI will move heaven and earth." Anna was already pulling out her phone. "Carter's been waiting 3 years for a break like this. He won't waste it." Danny watched her dial, his mind racing through possibilities. "What about protection? Sarah can't stay here alone." "She won't be alone." Anna pointed to a car parked behind the cabin. "I brought backup. Someone I trust with my life." A figure emerged from the car. A man in his late 40s, broad-shouldered, with close-cropped gray hair, and the bearing of someone who'd spent decades in uniform. "Lieutenant Commander Mitchell." The man extended his hand. "Special Agent Thomas Carter, FBI. I've heard a lot about you." Danny shook his hand, sizing him up. You're the one who's been investigating the Drakes. For 3 years, Carter's jaw tightened. Watching them destroy lives, knowing what they were doing, unable to touch them. Every time we got close, something happened. Witnesses vanished. Evidence disappeared. Good people died. That ends tonight. Yes, it does. Carter looked at the case in Anna's hands. Thomas Miller was supposed to be my star witness. His death set us back years. But if his evidence is as complete as Anna says... It's complete, Sarah spoke up, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. My father spent 3 years documenting everything. He gave his life to stop these people. Carter nodded slowly. Then we won't let that sacrifice be in vain. Over the next hour, the cabin became a command center. Carter made calls to FBI headquarters, coordinating warrants, assembling tactical teams. Anna spread the evidence across every available surface, organizing it by date, by crime, by perpetrator. Danny sat with Sarah, his hand resting on hers, watching the operation unfold. How are you holding up? He asked quietly. I don't know. Sarah stared at the documents scattered across the table. Part of me is relieved. We finally know the truth about Dad. But another part of me is terrified of what comes next. What comes next is justice. What comes next is dangerous. Sarah turned to face him. Danny, these people killed my father. They've killed witnesses, police officers, federal agents. What makes you think we'll be any different? Because they've never faced anyone like me. That's what scares me. Sarah's eyes glistened. You think you're invincible, but you're not. You're human. You bleed. You can die. I can also protect the people I love. Danny cupped her face in his hands. Sarah, I've spent 15 years walking into situations where death was more likely than survival. I've done it because it was my duty, because people were counting on me. But this is different. How? Because this time, it's personal. Danny's voice dropped. This time, it's for you, for our son, for your father. And I promise you, I will burn the Drakes to the ground before I let them hurt anyone else I love. Sarah pulled him close, burying her face in his chest. Just come back to me. That's all I ask. Always. Carter approached, his face grave. We have a problem. Danny released Sarah and stood. What kind of problem? Victor Drake has sources inside the Bureau. My contact in Washington just confirmed it. Carter's jaw was tight. Someone leaked our operation. The Drakes know we're coming. How much do they know? Enough. Victor has already started moving assets, destroying evidence, relocating key personnel. Carter slammed his fist on the table. By the time we execute the warrants, there might be nothing left to find. Anna cursed under her breath. So what do we do? Call it off? No. Danny's voice was steel. We accelerate. What do you mean? Victor knows we're coming, but he doesn't know when. He's scrambling, making mistakes. If we hit him tonight, right now, before he has time to cover his tracks... That's insane, Carter shook his head. We don't have proper support, proper planning. We have the element of surprise. And we have me. Carter stared at him. You're talking about a one-man assault on a criminal organization. I'm talking about buying you time. Danny moved to the window, scanning the darkness outside. Victor's priority right now is protecting himself. He's calling in favors, moving money, destroying records. He won't be thinking about offense. He'll be thinking about defense. And that means his security is stretched thin. Danny turned back. I can get inside, create chaos, draw his attention while you execute your warrants. You'll be walking into a death trap. I've walked into worse. Sarah grabbed his arm. Danny, no. You promised you'd be careful. I am being careful. I'm giving us the best chance to win. Danny covered her hand with his. Sarah, if Victor has time to regroup, he'll disappear. He has the resources, the connections. He could vanish overseas, start over, somewhere we can't reach. And when he does, he'll take revenge on everyone who tried to stop him. You can't know that. I know men like him. I've hunted them across 4 continents. Danny's eyes were hard. The only way to stop Victor Drake is to hit him so hard, so fast, that he doesn't have time to think. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Carter exchanged a look with Anna. She nodded slowly. He's right. If we wait, we lose our advantage. And if he dies? Then his death will buy us time. Danny's voice didn't waver. Time to get Sarah to safety. Time to execute the warrants. Time to save those girls. Sarah made a sound of protest, but Danny silenced her with a look. I'm not planning to die, but if I do, it won't be for nothing. Carter was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled a tablet from his bag and spread it on the table. Victor's primary operation is run out of a warehouse on the waterfront. Old cannery, officially abandoned. According to our intelligence, that's where they hold the trafficking victims before shipment. How many hostiles? Unknown. Could be 12, could be 24. Victor's been consolidating his forces. Entry points? Main entrance, loading dock on the east side, and a service entrance through the basement. Carter pointed to each location on the screen. The basement connects to the old storm drains, emergency escape route, or an infiltration route. You're thinking about going in through the drains? I'm thinking about going in through the drains, neutralizing the guards, and securing the hostages before Victor knows what's happening. Danny studied the layout. How many victims are we talking about? Based on our last count, at least 15 women, some of them teenagers. Danny's jaw tightened. And Marcus? Where is he? Last known location was his father's estate, but he's mobile. Could be anywhere by now. He'll be at the warehouse. Danny's voice was certain. Victor will want his best people protecting the merchandise. And despite everything, Marcus is still his son. You want to take them both down at once. I want to end this. Tonight. Carter studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. What do you need? Comms equipment, a tactical vest, spare magazines for my Glock. Danny paused. And someone to stay with Sarah while I'm gone. Anna will stay. She's trained, armed, and she knows how to disappear if things go wrong. Sarah stood abruptly. Don't I get a say in this? Every eye in the room turned to her. You're all making plans like I'm not even here, deciding my future, deciding my husband's future, without asking what I want. Sarah, no, Danny, you listen. Sarah's eyes blazed through her tears. I've spent 5 years grieving a father I didn't understand. 5 years living with guilt and questions and pain. Now I finally know the truth, and you want to walk into a situation that might kill you? I don't want to. I have to. Why? Why does it always have to be you? Because I can. Danny's voice was soft. Because I have the skills, the training, the experience. Because if I don't go, those girls will be shipped overseas and sold to men who will destroy them. Because if I don't stop Victor tonight, he will come for you, for our son, for everyone we love.
And what about our son's father? What happens to him? Danny crossed to her and took her hands. Our son will know his father was a man who stood up when others sat down, a man who walked into darkness to bring people into light, a man who loved his family enough to fight for them, even when it was hard, even
when it was terrifying. And if his father doesn't come back, then his mother will tell him the truth, that his father loved him, that his father died protecting the innocent, that his father's last thought was of his wife and his son and the life he hoped they would live. Sarah crumpled. Danny caught her, holding her tight as she sobbed against his chest. "I don't want to be a hero's widow, Danny. I just want to be your wife." "You are my wife. You always will be." Danny tilted her chin up. "And I am coming back. Do you hear me? I am coming back to you." "Promise me." "I promise." Sarah kissed him, hard, desperate, like she was trying to memorize the taste of him. When they separated, her eyes were red, but her jaw was set. "Then go. Do what you have to do. But you bring yourself back to me, Danny Mitchell. That's an order." Danny almost smiled. "Yes, ma'am." He turned to Carter. "How long until you can have federal teams in position?" 2 hours, maybe less if I push." "Then I'll give you 2 hours. After that, you hit them with everything you've got." "Understood." Danny moved toward the door. Shadow rose from where he'd been lying and moved to follow. "Stay," Danny pointed to Sarah. "Protect." Shadow whined, conflicted. "I need you here, boy. She needs you here." Shadow looked at Sarah, then back at Danny. Finally, he moved to sit beside her, his body pressed against her legs. "Good boy." Danny scratched behind his ears. "Take care of them for me." Anna handed him a tactical bag. "Comms, vest, extra mags. Radio frequency is preset." "Thanks." "Mitchell," Anna met his eyes. "I know we just met, but thank you for what you're about to do. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when it's over." Danny walked out into the darkness. The drive to the waterfront took 40 minutes. Danny parked the truck a mile from the warehouse and proceeded on foot. The night was cold, the air thick with salt and the smell of fish and diesel. He moved like a ghost through the shadows, avoiding the pools of light from the scattered street lamps, his senses tuned to every sound, every movement. The warehouse loomed ahead, a dark hulk against the darker sky. 2 guards patrolled the perimeter, moving in predictable patterns. Danny watched them for 10 minutes, memorizing their routes, timing their overlaps. Then he moved. The first guard never saw him coming. Danny's arm wrapped around his throat, cutting off air and blood. The guard struggled for 3 seconds, then went limp. Danny lowered him gently to the ground and continued. The second guard was smoking near the loading dock, his attention on his phone. Danny was behind him before he could react. "Make a sound and you die." The guard froze. "Where are they holding the women?" I don't know what you're—" Danny increased pressure on the guard's neck. "Wrong answer." "Basement. They're in the basement. There's a holding area. Cells." "How many guards inside?" 15, maybe 20. I don't know the exact. "Where's Marcus Drake?" "Upstairs. Office on the 3rd floor. He's with his old man." "Both of them? Here?" "They came in an hour ago. Something about a situation. I don't know." Danny rendered him unconscious and let him drop. Victor and Marcus. Both here. Both within reach. He keyed his comms. "Carter, you copy?" Static. Then, "Copy, Mitchell. What's your status?" "I'm at the perimeter, 2 guards down. According to one of them, both Victor and Marcus are inside. 3rd floor office." "Both targets in one location? That changes things." "It accelerates things." Danny moved toward the basement entrance. "I'm going in. 15 minutes to secure the hostages. Have your teams ready." "They're ready. Be careful in there." "Careful is my middle name." Danny cut the connection and descended into darkness. The storm drain was tight, claustrophobic, filled with the smell of stagnant water and decay. Danny moved through it on hands and knees, his tactical light casting dancing shadows on the curved walls. After what felt like hours, but was probably 15 minutes, he reached a rusted grate. Beyond it, he could hear voices. Crying. Danny peered through the gaps. A long corridor stretched before him. Cells lined both sides, makeshift cages constructed from chain-link fencing and padlocks. Inside the cells, huddled figures. Women. Girls. Some sleeping, some weeping, some staring at nothing with empty eyes. 2 guards stood at the far end of the corridor, playing cards on a fold-out table. Danny drew his weapon and attached the suppressor. Then he removed the grate and slipped through. He was behind the guards before they looked up. 2 shots. 2 bodies. The women in the cells began to stir, confusion and fear on their faces. "Quiet!" Danny held up a hand. "I'm here to help. Federal agents are coming. But I need you to stay calm and stay quiet." One of the women, older than the others, maybe 30, stepped forward in her cell. Her face was bruised, her eyes hollow, but there was intelligence there. "You're American?" "Navy. My people are coming to get you out." "There are more guards upstairs, at least a dozen." "I know." "They'll kill you." "They'll try." Danny found the keys on one of the dead guards and unlocked the cells one by one. 19 women. 11 were teenagers. "Stay here until I give the signal. When you hear gunfire upstairs, run for the exit. There will be federal agents waiting." The older woman grabbed his arm. "Who are you?" "Someone who should have come sooner." Danny met her eyes. "I'm sorry it took so long." He moved toward the stairs. The ground floor was a maze of machinery and storage containers. Danny navigated through it silently, dropping guards when necessary, creating a path to the upper levels. 7 down by the time he reached the 2nd floor. He could hear voices above, raised, angry. "Told you this would happen!" That was Victor Drake's voice, cold and controlled despite the words. "I told you your temper would destroy us." "The guy came out of nowhere. How was I supposed to know?" "You weren't supposed to assault a pregnant woman in public, you idiot. In front of cameras." "I'll fix it. I'll find them. You'll do nothing. You've done enough." Danny reached the 3rd floor landing. The office door was open, light spilling into the hallway. He pressed himself against the wall and listened. "The feds are moving. My source says warrants are being issued as we speak." Victor's voice was ice. "Everything I've built, everything your grandfather built, is about to come crashing down because you couldn't keep your hands to yourself." "So we run. We have accounts overseas, contacts who can get us out." "Run? Run?" Victor laughed, but it was a hollow sound. "Do you have any idea what our associates will do if we try to disappear with their money? They'll hunt us to the ends of the earth." "Then what do we do?" Silence. Then Victor spoke again, his voice dropping to something almost sad. "We burn it all. The evidence, the records, the merchandise. Everything that can tie us to the operation." "You mean the girls?" "I mean no witnesses." Danny had heard enough. He stepped into the doorway, weapon raised. "Nobody's burning anything." Victor spun around. He was smaller than Danny expected, a slight man in his late 50s with silver hair and cold, calculating eyes. He wore an expensive suit that looked out of place in the grimy office. Marcus stood beside him, his broken wrist in a cast, his face twisted with hatred. "You!" Marcus reached for a gun on the desk. Danny fired. The bullet took Marcus in the shoulder, spinning him around, sending him crashing to the floor. That's for my wife. Victor hadn't moved. His eyes were fixed on Danny, assessing, calculating. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Mitchell, Navy SEAL, 15 years service, multiple combat tours. Victor's voice was conversational. I've read your file. Then you know what I'm capable of. I know you're one man against my entire organization. Your organization is falling apart. Your guards are dead. Your hostages are being rescued. And federal agents are surrounding this building as we speak. Victor's mask cracked, just for a moment. You're bluffing.
Am I? Danny keyed his comms. Carter, status. Carter's voice came through, audible in the quiet office. Teams are in position, ready to breach on your signal. Victor's face went pale. It's over, Victor. You can surrender now and maybe live long enough to die in prison. Or you can resist and die here. Your choice. Victor's eyes darted to the window, to the door, to his son bleeding on the floor. Then he smiled. There's a third option. He moved faster than Danny expected, diving behind the desk, hitting a button hidden underneath. Alarms screamed. Emergency lights flashed. 30 seconds. Victor's voice came from behind the desk. That's how long you have before this building collapses. I installed fail-safes years ago. Charges on every support beam. If I can't have my empire, no one can. Danny's blood ran cold. The women in the basement will die with everyone else. Victor's laugh was madness. Unless you can get to them in 30 seconds. Danny had a choice. Kill Victor and let the hostages die. Or save the hostages and let Victor escape. It wasn't a choice at all. He turned and ran, down the stairs, 2 at a time, 3 at a time, past the bodies of guards he'd killed, through the maze of machinery, toward the basement, toward the women, toward the people he'd promised to save. Carter, the building's rigged to blow. I need extraction for 19 hostages, now! Copy. Teams are breaching. Danny hit the basement at full sprint. Everybody out! Move! The women didn't hesitate. They ran, following the path Danny had cleared, streaming toward the exit. Go! 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 Danny counted them as they passed. 15, 16, 17, 18. Where was 19? He turned back. The older woman, the one who'd spoken to him, was struggling to support a younger girl who couldn't walk. Her legs were injured, maybe broken. Danny sprinted to them and lifted the girl in his arms. Move! They ran. The first explosion hit just as they reached the exit. The force threw them forward, Danny twisting to shield the girl with his body. Fire and debris rained down. Danny struggled to his feet, ears ringing, vision blurred. The girl was crying, but alive. The older woman was pulling herself up, blood streaming from a cut on her forehead. Come on! They staggered out into the night, into the chaos of flashing lights and shouting agents and the roar of the burning building. Someone took the girl from Danny's arms. Someone else was asking him questions he couldn't hear through the ringing in his ears. He pushed through the crowd, searching. Victor, Marcus, where were they? Mitchell! Carter grabbed his shoulder. The building! We couldn't stop it! The Drakes. Did you get them? Carter's face told him everything. They had a boat, hidden dock on the north side. By the time we realized... Danny's phone rang. His personal phone. Sarah's ringtone. His blood turned to ice. He answered. Sarah? The voice that responded wasn't Sarah's. Hello, Lieutenant Commander. Victor Drake sounded calm, almost pleasant. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Now I have something that belongs to you. If you hurt her, she's fine, for now. The baby too. But that can change very quickly. Danny gripped the phone so hard it cracked. What do you want? The evidence. Thomas Miller's files. Everything your wife's father collected.
Victor's voice hardened. You have 1 hour. Bring it to the old marina at Decker's Point. Come alone. If I see federal agents, if I see anyone other than you, your wife and child will die screaming. How do I know she's still alive? A muffled sound. Then Sarah's voice, terrified but defiant. Danny, don't do it! Don't give them anything! I'd rather— The line cut off. 1 hour, Victor's voice returned. Don't be late. The connection ended. Danny stood motionless in the chaos of the burning warehouse. Around him, agents rushed to help victims, to contain the fire, to search for evidence. But Danny heard none of it. All he could hear was Sarah's voice. All he could feel was the cold certainty of what he had to do. Carter appeared beside him. Mitchell, what happened? They have Sarah. What? How? I don't know. I don't care. Danny turned to face him. I need the evidence. Thomas Miller's files. Everything we recovered. Mitchell, we can't just hand over— I'm not handing it over. Danny's voice was death itself. I'm walking into a trap, and when Victor Drake thinks he's won, when he thinks he's safe, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill his son. I'm going to kill anyone who stands between me and my wife. That's suicide. That's my choice. Danny met Carter's eyes. You can help me, or you can get out of my way. But nothing is going to stop me from bringing Sarah home. Carter was silent for a long moment. Then he reached into his coat and pulled out a set of car keys. There's a tactical vehicle in the parking lot, fully loaded. Take whatever you need. The evidence? Anna has it. She's at the safe house with— Carter's face fell. She was supposed to be with Sarah. Danny's heart stopped. What happened to Anna? I don't know. She's not responding to comms. Danny grabbed the keys and ran. Danny drove like a man possessed. The tactical vehicle Carter had given him tore through the night, headlights cutting through the darkness. His hands gripped the wheel so hard his knuckles were white. His jaw was clenched tight enough to crack teeth. Sarah. They had Sarah. The thought repeated in his mind like a drumbeat, drowning out everything else. Every tactical consideration, every careful plan, every rational thought was consumed by a single, primal imperative. Get her back, whatever it takes. The safe house appeared through the trees. Danny killed the headlights and coasted the last 100 yards, his hand moving to his weapon. The cabin looked peaceful. Lights on. No signs of struggle. But Danny knew better than to trust appearances. He exited the vehicle silently and approached on foot, weapon raised. Every sense was alert, every muscle ready. 15 years of combat experience screamed that something was wrong. The front door was slightly ajar. Danny pushed it open with his boot, weapon sweeping the room. Empty. The evidence files scattered across the table. Coffee mugs still warm. Signs of a struggle near the back door. Overturned chair, broken lamp, scuff marks on the floor. And blood. A small pool of it near the kitchen. Danny's heart contracted. Shadow. The Belgian Malinois was lying in the corner, motionless. Danny rushed to him, dropping to his knees. Shadow, hey, boy, come on! The dog's eyes fluttered open. He whined weakly, trying to lift his head. There was a wound on his side, a deep gash, still bleeding, but not fatal. Someone had cut him, incapacitated him. Easy, boy, I've got you. Danny found a towel and pressed it against the wound. Shadow licked his hand, his amber eyes filled with pain and guilt. It's not your fault, Danny's voice cracked. You did your best. I know you did. Movement behind him. Danny spun, weapon raised. Anna Reyes stumbled out of the back room, clutching her head. Blood streamed from a gash above her eye. Her weapon was gone, her movements unsteady.
Mitchell! They came out of nowhere. 6 of them, maybe more. I tried to...
Where's Sarah?
They took her. I couldn't stop them.
Anna's voice broke.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Danny was on his feet, grabbing her shoulders. How long ago?
20 minutes, maybe less.
Did you hear anything? A location, a name?
The marina. Decker's Point. That's where they're taking her.
Danny released her and moved toward the door.
Mitchell, wait.
Anna grabbed his arm.
You can't go alone. They'll be expecting you. They'll have an army.
I don't care.
You'll die.
Then I'll die. Danny's voice was ice. But I'll take every one of them with me. He pulled free and walked out. Shadow struggled to his feet, whining, trying to follow. Stay. Danny's voice softened. You're hurt. Stay with Anna. The dog's eyes held his. 1,000 memories passed between them. Missions, battles, the silent understanding of partners who had faced death together. Then Shadow lay back down, trusting his handler one last time. Danny got in the vehicle and drove. Decker's Point was an abandoned marina on the southern edge of Cedar Bay. Decades ago, it had been a bustling hub for fishing boats. Now it was a rotting collection of docks and warehouses, used only by smugglers and criminals. Perfect for a final confrontation. Danny parked a quarter-mile away and approached on foot, using the darkness as cover.
His tactical bag contained everything he needed: extra magazines, flashbangs, a combat knife, zip ties, and Thomas Miller's evidence. The files Victor Drake wanted so desperately. The bait that would bring Sarah's captors into the open. Danny stopped at the edge of the property and surveyed the scene. 3 vehicles near the main warehouse. At least a dozen armed men patrolling the perimeter. Lights in the upper windows of the main building. That's where they'd be holding Sarah. He keyed his comms, the one Carter had given him. Carter, you copy? Static. Then, copy, Mitchell. What's your position? Decker's Point. Hostage situation. 12+ hostiles, plus Victor and Marcus Drake. Federal teams are en route. ETA 30 minutes. I don't have 30 minutes. Mitchell, wait for backup. That's an order. I don't take orders from you. Danny killed the connection. He moved. The first guard died without a sound. Finally, came up behind him, knife sliding across his throat before the man could react. He lowered the body gently and continued. The second guard was smoking near a boat slip. Danny snapped his neck with a single, brutal twist. 3, 4, 5. Danny moved through them like death itself, silent and inevitable. Each kill brought him closer to the warehouse, closer to Sarah. 6 guards down, 6 to go. The 7th saw him coming. Contact! We have... Danny's bullet took him in the chest before he could finish. The suppressed shot was quiet, but not quiet enough. Alarms screamed, floodlights blazed to life. So much for stealth. Danny sprinted toward the warehouse, firing as he ran. 2 more guards went down. A third took cover behind a forklift and returned fire. Danny slid behind a concrete barrier, bullets sparking off the surface inches from his head. Mitchell! Victor Drake's voice echoed from the warehouse, amplified by a megaphone. I know you're out there. I have your wife. Surrender now, or she dies. Danny didn't respond. He was already moving, circling around the forklift, flanking the guard who'd pinned him down. The guard never saw him coming. Danny was through the side entrance in seconds, weapons sweeping the interior. More guards rushed toward him. He dropped 2 before they could fire, took cover behind a support column, and reloaded. Danny! Sarah's voice, coming from above. Danny looked up,
A metal staircase led to a second-floor walkway. At the top, Marcus Drake stood with a gun pressed to Sarah's temple. "Drop the weapon, hero." Marcus's voice was shaky, his face pale with pain from his wounded shoulder. "Or I paint the wall with her brains." Danny didn't drop his weapon, but he didn't fire either. "Let her go, Marcus. This is between me and your father. You killed my men. You destroyed my father's business. You think I'm just going to let you walk away?" "I think you're going to die if you don't release my wife." Marcus laughed. It was a high, nervous sound. Big talk, from a guy who's outnumbered 10-1. "I've faced worse odds." "Yeah? When?" "Every day for the last 15 years. Danny's voice was calm, conversational. "You want to know something about Navy SEALs, Marcus? We don't negotiate. We don't surrender. We complete the mission, no matter the cost." "And what's your mission?" "To bring my wife home." Danny's eyes locked onto Marcus's. "And to kill anyone who tries to stop me." Sarah's face was pale, but her eyes were fierce. She met Danny's gaze and gave an almost imperceptible nod. She was ready. Danny's training took over. Time slowed, his senses sharpened. He calculated angles, distances, trajectories. Then he moved. His first shot hit the guard to Marcus's left. His second hit the guard to the right. Sarah threw herself sideways, away from Marcus, her pregnant body twisting with desperate grace. Marcus fired, but his shot went wide, his aim thrown off by Sarah's movement. Danny's third shot hit Marcus in the knee. The man screamed and went down, his weapon skittering across the floor. Danny was up the stairs in seconds, kicking the gun away, pressing his boot against Marcus's wounded knee. "Where's your father?" Marcus screamed again, writhing in agony. I don't know." Danny pressed harder. "Wrong answer." "The boat! He's on the boat! He was going to leave!" "Leave you here to die?" He said I was a liability." Danny looked at Sarah. She was trembling, holding her belly. But she was alive, unharmed. "Are you okay?" "I'm okay." Her voice shook. "Danny, the baby. I think I'm having contractions." Danny's blood ran cold. "How far apart?" "I don't know. A few minutes, maybe?" "We need to get you out of here. Now." He pulled Sarah to her feet, supporting her weight. Marcus groaned on the floor behind them. "You're just going to leave me?" Danny didn't look back. "You're lucky I'm leaving you alive." They made it halfway across the warehouse floor when the lights went out. Complete darkness. Danny pulled Sarah close, his weapon raised, every sense screaming danger. "Hello, Lieutenant Commander." Victor Drake's voice came from everywhere and nowhere, echoing through the darkness. "I must admit, I'm impressed. You've cost me everything tonight. My operation, my money, my son. Everything I've built over 30 years, gone in a single evening." "Surrender, Victor. It's over." "Over?" Victor laughed. "It's not over until I say it's over." A spotlight blazed to life, blinding Danny momentarily. When his vision cleared, he saw Victor standing on the far side of the warehouse. He was holding a detonator. "I told you I installed fail-safes. Did you think the warehouse was the only building wired to explode?" Danny's grip tightened on Sarah. "This entire marina is rigged. Every dock, every warehouse, every inch of this godforsaken place." Victor's smile was madness. "You took everything from me. Now I'm going to take everything from you." "You'll die too." "Maybe. But at least I'll have the satisfaction of watching you burn first." "Danny." Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "He's not bluffing." I know. Danny's mind raced through options. Charge Victor? Too far. He'd trigger the detonator before Danny reached him. Shoot him? Possible, but risky. If Victor's finger contracted on the trigger as he fell... Let my wife go. Danny kept his voice steady. Let her walk out of here, and I'll stay. I'll give you the evidence. I'll give you whatever you want. How noble. Victor's eyes glittered. But I'm afraid it's too late for negotiations. Then what do you want? I want you to suffer. Victor's voice hardened. I want you to watch your wife and child die, knowing you couldn't save them. I want you to feel what I feel. What you feel is your own doing, your own choices. My choices built an empire. Your choices destroyed lives, families, children. Danny's voice was steel. You're not a businessman, Victor. You're a monster. And monsters don't get happy endings. Victor's finger tightened on the detonator. Neither do heroes. A gunshot cracked through the darkness. Victor staggered, his eyes going wide with shock. The detonator fell from his hand. Danny moved. He crossed the distance in seconds, kicking the detonator away, slamming Victor against the wall. Who? Victor gasped, blood spreading across his expensive suit. Anna Reyes stepped out of the shadows, her weapon still raised, her face hard as stone. That was for Michael, she said quietly, and for everyone else you murdered. Victor slumped against the wall, his strength fading. His eyes found Danny's. You think you've won? Blood bubbled at his lips. There are others, networks you can't imagine. My death changes nothing. Your death is justice. Danny released him and stepped back, and justice always changes something. Victor's eyes went glassy. His body went limp. He was dead before he hit the ground. Danny turned to Anna. How did you think I was going to let you have all the fun? Anna holstered her weapon. Besides, you needed backup. I told you to stay with Shadow. Since when do I take orders from you? Despite everything, Danny almost smiled. Danny, Sarah's voice was strained. The contractions, they're getting closer. All humor fled. Danny was at her side in an instant. How close? 2 minutes, maybe less. Sarah's face contorted with pain. Danny, the baby's coming. I can feel it. Not here, not like this. Danny lifted her in his arms. Anna, I need a vehicle. Victor's car is outside. Keys are probably on him. Danny carried Sarah toward the exit, Anna covering them with her weapon. They passed Marcus, still groaning on the floor. Please, Marcus reached toward them. Don't leave me. I'll die. Anna looked at Danny. Danny kept walking. Federal agents are on their way. They'll decide what to do with you. They burst out of the warehouse into the cold night air. Victor's car, a luxury sedan, was parked near the dock. Anna found the keys in Victor's pocket and tossed them to Danny. Get her to the hospital. I'll stay and secure the scene. Anna, go. Her voice softened. You saved those girls tonight. You brought down the Drakes. Now go be a father. Danny nodded once. Then he was in the car, Sarah in the passenger seat, tires screaming as he accelerated toward the road. Hold on, baby. Just hold on. Sarah gripped his hand, her face tight with pain. Danny, I'm scared. I know, but you're strong. The strongest person I know. What if something's wrong? What if the stress, the trauma? Our son is going to be fine. He's going to be perfect. Danny's voice was fierce with conviction. He's going to grow up loved and safe, with a mother who would do anything to protect him, and a father who will always come home. Promise me. I promise. The hospital appeared ahead, its lights blazing against the darkness. Danny pulled up to the emergency entrance and carried Sarah through the doors. I need help. My wife is in labor. Nurses rushed toward them. A gurney appeared. Hands took Sarah from his arms. Sir, you'll need to wait. I'm not leaving her. Sir, I'm not leaving. Something in his eyes convinced them. A nurse nodded and led him toward the delivery room. The next hours were a blur of fear and hope and pain and joy. Sarah gripped Danny's hand through every contraction, screaming, crying, fighting to bring their child into the world. The doctors monitored vitals, called out numbers, made adjustments Danny didn't understand. But he understood Sarah. He understood her strength, her determination, her absolute refusal to give up. Push, baby. You're almost there. I can't. Danny, I can't. Yes, you can. You've survived everything the world has thrown at you. You can do this. Sarah's face contorted. She screamed, a primal sound of effort and pain. And then another sound filled the room. A baby's cry. Danny watched as the doctor lifted a tiny, squalling infant, covered in blood and fluid, lungs working furiously. It's a boy, the doctor smiled. A healthy baby boy. Sarah sobbed with relief as they placed the baby on her chest. Danny stood frozen, staring at the tiny life he and Sarah had created. His son. Their son. Danny. Sarah's voice was exhausted but radiant. Look at him. Danny leaned down, tears streaming down his face. The baby was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a head full of dark hair, and lungs that could wake the dead. Hey, little guy. Danny's voice cracked. I'm your dad. I've been waiting a long time to meet you. The baby's cries subsided. He opened his eyes, impossibly blue, just like Danny's, and seemed to focus on his father's face. In that moment, Danny Mitchell understood something he'd never fully grasped in all his years of combat. This was what he'd been fighting for. Not country, not duty, not honor. This woman, this child, this life. What should we name him? Sarah whispered. Danny thought about Thomas Miller, who had died trying to protect his family. He thought about Commander Michael Reyes, who had given his life pursuing justice. He thought about all the men and women who had sacrificed so that others could live. Thomas, he said quietly. Thomas Michael Mitchell. Sarah smiled through her tears. It's perfect. Danny kissed her forehead, then leaned down to kiss his son's tiny hand. Welcome to the world, Thomas. I promise you, I will always protect you. I will always love you. And I will always, always come home. The baby yawned, already bored with his father's promises. Danny laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in what felt like years. The door opened. A nurse poked her head in. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell? There's an FBI agent here to see you. Says it's urgent. Danny looked at Sarah. She nodded. Go. I'll be fine. I'll be right back. He kissed her one more time, then walked out into the hallway. Carter was waiting, his face a mixture of exhaustion and relief. Congratulations. I heard you're a father. Thomas Michael Mitchell. Born 20 minutes ago. That's good. That's really good. Carter paused. The operation was a success. We recovered 19 trafficking victims from the warehouse, plus another 12 from a secondary location Victor's crew was using. Anna secured Marcus Drake. He's in custody, awaiting trial. And Victor? Dead. Anna's shooting was justified. Carter's voice hardened. But there's something else you should know. What? Victor wasn't lying. There are other networks. We found communications on his phone, connections to organizations in Europe, Asia, South America. The Drakes were just one node in a much larger operation. Danny's jaw tightened. So it's not over. It's never over. Carter met his eyes. But what you did tonight, you saved lives, lots of them, and you gave us the intel we need to keep fighting. I was just protecting my family. You were doing what's right. There's a difference. Carter extended his hand. If you ever want to do it again, officially, there's a place for you in the bureau. Danny shook his hand. I'll think about it. That's all I ask.
Carter walked away. Danny stood alone in the hospital corridor, processing everything that had happened. The attack at the gas station, the lighthouse, the warehouse, Victor Drake's final moments. And now, a son, a future, a life. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Danny's instincts flared. He opened the message. A photo. Ana Reyes, unconscious, bound to a chair, blood on her face. Below it, a single line of text. The work continues. We'll be in touch. Danny stared at the screen, his blood turning to ice. Victor Drake was dead, but the monster he served, the network he was connected to, was very much alive. And now they knew Danny's name. He deleted the message and walked back toward Sarah's room. His wife was sleeping, their son cradled in her arms. The morning sun was just beginning to stream through the window. Danny sat down beside them, taking Sarah's hand in his. Whatever came next, whatever threats emerged from the darkness, he would face them. He would fight them. He would destroy them. Because that's what protectors do. And Danny Mitchell would never stop protecting the people he loved. Danny didn't sleep that night. He sat in the hospital chair beside Sarah's bed, watching his wife and newborn son rest peacefully. The morning sun painted golden stripes across the white sheets. The monitors beeped their steady rhythm. Everything was calm, quiet, safe. But Danny's mind was anything but calm. The photo of Anna burned in his memory. Someone had taken her. Someone connected to the network Victor Drake served. And now they were sending a message. We know who you are. We know how to hurt you. Danny's phone buzzed again. Carter. Mitchell, we have a situation. Anna. You know? I got a photo. 15 minutes ago. Carter cursed under his breath. We traced her last known location to a warehouse near the port. By the time my team arrived, the place was empty. Signs of a struggle. Blood on the floor. How much blood? Not enough to be fatal. They took her alive. Why? Leverage. You destroyed their operation in Cedar Bay, but the network extends far beyond this town. They want you to back off, stop cooperating with us, disappear. Danny's jaw tightened. And if I don't? Then Anna dies, slowly. They sent us a video to make sure we understood. Show me. Mitchell, show me. Carter was silent for a moment. Then Danny's phone buzzed with an incoming file. He opened it. Anna was tied to a chair, her face bruised and swollen. A man stood behind her, his face hidden by a mask. He spoke with a heavy Eastern European accent. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell, you have caused us significant inconvenience. We wish to resolve this matter professionally. The man pressed a knife against Anna's throat. She didn't flinch, but Danny could see the fear in her eyes. You will cease all cooperation with federal authorities. You will destroy any evidence connecting our organization to the Drake operation. And you will convince Agent Carter to close his investigation. The man leaned closer to the camera. You have 24 hours. After that, Detective Reyes will be returned to you. In pieces. The video ended. Danny stared at the black screen, his mind racing.
What do you want to do? Carter asked quietly. I want to find them. I want to kill every single one of them. That's not a plan. That's revenge. Sometimes they're the same thing. Mitchell, listen to me. These people aren't like the Drakes. They're not local criminals playing at power. They're professionals. Russian mob, connected to trafficking networks across 3 continents. They have resources, training, infrastructure. Going after them alone is suicide. Then help me. I can't authorize an operation based on... I'm not asking you to authorize anything. Danny's voice hardened. I'm asking you to point me in the right direction. Give me a location, a name, anything. I'll do the rest. Carter was quiet for a long moment. There's a man, Nikolai Volkov. He runs the East Coast operations for the Bratva, Russian organized crime. We've been tracking him for years, but we could never get close enough to make an arrest. Where is he? A cargo ship called the Constantine. It's scheduled to leave port tonight at midnight. Our intel says it's carrying merchandise bound for overseas buyers. Women. Women. Children. The same cargo Victor Drake was moving through Cedar Bay. Carter's voice tightened. If that ship leaves, those people disappear forever. Then we stop the ship. Mitchell, I'm not asking for permission. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Danny stood and walked to the window. 20 years ago, I swore an oath to protect this country from all enemies. Tonight, I'm going to honor that oath. And Anna? Anna will be on that ship. Volkov won't risk leaving a federal witness behind. Danny turned back. Get me the ship's location and security details. I'll handle the rest. Carter sighed. You know this could destroy your career, your freedom, everything. My wife almost died yesterday. My son was born into a world where monsters like Volkov steal children from their families. If I don't do something, who will? Silence on the line. Then Carter spoke again, his voice resigned but resolute. I'll send you the intel, but Mitchell, if this goes wrong, I never talk to you. Understood? Understood. Danny ended the call and turned back to the hospital bed. Sarah was awake. Her eyes were fixed on him, filled with concern and understanding. You're going after her. I have to. I know. Sarah reached for his hand. I heard everything. Sarah, don't apologize. Don't explain. Her grip tightened. Just promise me you'll come back. Promise me our son will know his father. Danny knelt beside her bed, taking her hand in both of his. I promise, on my life, on everything I am. Then go, Sarah's voice cracked. Go save Anna. Go stop those monsters, and then come home to us. Danny kissed her, long and deep and full of everything he couldn't put into words. Then he kissed his son's forehead, tiny Thomas, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the darkness his father was about to walk into. I'll be back, Danny whispered. I swear it. He walked out of the hospital and into the uncertain dawn. The tactical vehicle was where he'd left it, still loaded with everything he needed. Danny drove to the veterinary clinic where Shadow had been treated overnight. The Belgian Malinois was awake, alert, his bandaged side barely slowing him down. When he saw Danny, his tail wagged furiously. Hey, boy! Danny knelt and scratched behind his ears. You ready for one more mission? Shadow barked once, strong, eager. That's my partner. The vet, a young woman with kind eyes, approached hesitantly. Lieutenant Commander, he really should rest. The wound was deep. I know, but he won't rest, not while there's work to do. Danny met her eyes. Trust me, I've served with this dog for 5 years. He's tougher than any of us. Shadow pressed against Danny's leg, as if confirming his handler's words. The vet sighed and handed over the discharge papers. Danny loaded Shadow into the vehicle and drove toward the port. The cargo ship Constantine was massive, a rusted hulk of steel and secrets, anchored at the far end of the commercial docks. According to Carter's intel, it was scheduled to depart at midnight, carrying 47 trafficking victims, bound for auctions in Eastern Europe and the Middle East. And somewhere on that ship, Ana Reyes was fighting for her life. Danny parked a quarter-mile from the dock and studied the situation through binoculars. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. More guards on the ship itself. At least 30 hostiles, maybe more. Impossible odds. Just how he liked it. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "I know you're watching. Come alone. Main gangway. 15 minutes. Danny stared at the message. A trap, obviously, but also an opportunity. He turned to Shadow. "Here's the plan, boy. I'm going in the front door. You're going in the back." Shadow's ears pricked forward, listening. "There's a cargo hatch on the starboard side. Security is lighter there. Most of their people are focused on the gangway. Once you're inside, find Anna. Find the hostages. Keep them safe until I get there." Shadow made a low sound in his throat. Understanding. Danny attached a small camera to the dog's tactical vest and synced it to his phone. Now he could see whatever Shadow saw. "I'll create a distraction. You do what you do best." Danny rubbed Shadow's neck. "And if I don't make it out, protect Sarah. Protect Thomas. That's an order." Shadow licked his face. "I love you too, boy. Now go." The dog disappeared into the shadows, moving with the silent grace of a predator. Danny watched him go. Then he stood, checked his weapons one last time, and walked toward the gangway. 2 guards met him at the bottom. "Hands up, no weapons." Danny raised his hands slowly, allowing them to search him. They found his Glock, his knife, his phone. They didn't find the small blade hidden in his boot, or the garrote wire sewn into his belt. "Move!" They marched him up the gangway and into the ship. Through narrow corridors and rusted hatches, deeper into the vessel's bowels. Finally, they reached a cargo hold that had been converted into an office. A man sat behind a makeshift desk, drinking vodka from a crystal glass. Nikolai Volkov. He was older than Danny expected, 60s maybe, with a weathered face and cold gray eyes. His hair was white, his beard neatly trimmed. He looked more like a distinguished professor than a human trafficker. "Lieutenant Commander Mitchell." Volkov's English was accented but precise. "I've heard much about you." "Where's Detective Reyes?" "Direct. I appreciate that." Volkov gestured to a chair. "Please, sit. We have much to discuss." Danny remained standing. "I'm not here to discuss anything. I'm here for Anna." "And you shall have her. Eventually." Volkov sipped his vodka. "But first, we must come to an understanding." "There's nothing to understand. You're a monster who traffics human beings. I'm here to stop you." Volkov laughed. It was a cold sound, devoid of humor. "You Americans, so self-righteous, so convinced of your moral superiority." He set down his glass. "Do you know how many of your countrymen have purchased merchandise from my organization? Politicians, businessmen, celebrities, pillars of your society. They create the demand. I simply supply it." "That doesn't excuse what you do."
"I'm not seeking excuses. I'm seeking profit." Volkov leaned forward.
"Victor Drake was useful to me. His death was inconvenient. But these things happen in business. What concerns me now is you. What about me? You have skills, training, A certain moral flexibility that your country's government has invested millions of dollars in developing. Volkov smiled. I could use a man like you. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a future. Money, power, protection for your family. All of it can be yours. All you have to do is walk away from this crusade and join my organization. Danny was silent for a long moment. Then he laughed. You don't know me at all, do you? Volkov's smile faded. I know everything about you. Your service record, your deployments, your marriage, your newborn son. His voice hardened. I know exactly how to hurt you, Lieutenant Commander. And if you refuse my offer, I will demonstrate that knowledge in painful detail.
Let me tell you what I know. Danny stepped closer to the desk. I know that right now, my dog is moving through your ship, locating your hostages. I know that federal agents are positioning themselves around this dock, waiting for my signal. And I know that in about 3 minutes, your entire operation is going to collapse around you. Volkov's face went pale. You're bluffing. Am I? Danny pulled the small blade from his boot. Let's find out. He moved. The guards flanking him were fast, professional security, trained killers. But Danny had been killing trained killers since before they were born. The first guard caught the blade in his throat. The second received an elbow strike to the temple that dropped him like a stone. Volkov scrambled for a gun hidden in his desk drawer. Danny was on him before his fingers touched the weapon. Where is Anna? Volkov's composure cracked. For the first time, real fear showed in his eyes. Lower deck. Cargo hold 7. She's with the others. Call off your men. They won't listen to me. They have their orders. Then your men are going to die. Danny's phone buzzed. The feed from Shadow's camera showed the dog moving through the ship's corridors, avoiding patrols, getting closer to the cargo holds. And then Shadow found them. 47 people. Women, children, elderly. Huddled together in a metal room that stank of fear and desperation. Anna was among them, still bound, still bloodied, but alive. Danny keyed his comms, the one Carter had given him. Carter, I have eyes on the hostages. Lower deck, cargo hold 7. Shadow is in position. Copy. Federal teams are ready. What's your status? I have Volkov. Initiating takedown now. Understood. Teams are moving. Danny turned back to Volkov. Your ship is being boarded by federal agents. Your men are being arrested. Your operation is finished. You think this ends with me? Volkov's voice was bitter. I am one man. There are hundreds like me. Thousands. You can kill me, imprison me. It changes nothing. Maybe. But it changes something for those 47 people you were going to sell. Danny pressed the blade against Volkov's throat. And it changes something for my family. For Anna Reyes. For everyone you've hurt. So righteous. Volkov spat the word. You're no different from me. You kill. You destroy. You think your cause justifies your methods, just as I do. There is one difference. What? I protect the innocent. You prey on them. Danny leaned closer. And tonight, the predator becomes the prey. Gunfire erupted somewhere on the ship. Shouts, screams, the thunder of boots on metal. That's my signal. Danny stepped back, keeping the blade trained on Volkov. You can surrender peacefully and spend the rest of your life in prison. Or you can resist and die here. Your choice. Volkov stared at him. The cold calculation in his eyes gave way to something else. Resignation, perhaps, or exhaustion. Prison. His voice was hollow. There is no prison that can hold me. My associates will ensure my release within weeks.
Your associates are being rounded up as we speak. Carter's been building a case against your entire network. By morning, every Bratva operation on the East Coast will be under federal investigation. Volkov's face went slack with shock. That's impossible. The evidence came from Victor Drake's files. Thomas Miller, Sarah's father, he documented everything. Every connection, every transaction, every name. Danny allowed himself a small smile. You thought you were untouchable. You were wrong. FBI agents burst through the door, weapons raised. Federal agents, get on the ground! Volkov didn't resist as they cuffed him. He just stared at Danny with something that might have been respect. You're more dangerous than I realized, Lieutenant Commander. Remember that. Danny walked out of the office and toward the cargo holds.
He found Shadow standing guard outside Hold 7. His fur bristled, his eyes alert. 3 of Volkov's men lay unconscious on the floor around him. Good boy. Danny scratched behind his ears. Very good boy. Inside the hold, FBI agents were freeing the hostages, checking injuries, offering comfort. The sounds of crying and relief mixed together in a chorus of human emotion. Anna was sitting against the wall, a medic tending to her wounds. When she saw Danny, she managed a weak smile. Took you long enough? Traffic was bad. Anna laughed, then winced as the movement aggravated her injuries. Is it over? It's over. Danny crouched beside her. Volkov's in custody. His network is being dismantled. You're safe. And Sarah? The baby? Both fine. I have a son. Thomas Michael Mitchell. Anna's eyes glistened. Michael? After your husband. He gave his life trying to stop these people. His name deserves to be remembered. Anna was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out and took Danny's hand. Thank you. For everything. For not giving up on me. We don't leave people behind. That's not who we are. No. Anna squeezed his hand. It's not. The sun was rising by the time Danny left the ship. Federal agents swarmed the dock, processing prisoners, cataloging evidence, coordinating with other agencies. The Constantine was being searched from bow to stern, revealing even more horrors, caches of weapons, drugs, forged documents. Carter met Danny at the gangway. 47 victims recovered. 18 arrests, including Nikolai Volkov. Evidence linking Volkov's organization to trafficking operations in 12 countries. Carter shook his head slowly. This is the biggest bust we've had in a decade. Maybe ever. Will it stick? With the evidence we have, Volkov will never see daylight again. Neither will most of his people. Carter extended his hand. You did good, Mitchell. Damn good. Danny shook his hand. What happens now? Now we rebuild. Cedar Bay will need time to heal. The Drake operation corrupted almost every institution in this town. But with Victor and Marcus gone, with their network exposed, there's finally a chance for real change. And the trafficking victims? We're coordinating with international agencies. Most of them will be returned to their families. The ones who can't go home will receive support, resources, a chance at a new life. Danny nodded slowly. It wasn't enough. Nothing could undo what those people had suffered. But it was something. It had to be enough. I should get back to the hospital. Sarah's waiting. Of course. Carter hesitated. Mitchell, the offer I made earlier, about working with the Bureau, it still stands. After what you did tonight, there's not a door in the federal government that wouldn't open for you. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. Danny walked to his vehicle, Shadow at his side. The morning sun was warm on his face, the salt air fresh in his lungs. For the first time in days, he felt something like peace. The hospital room was quiet when Danny entered. Sarah was asleep, her auburn hair spread across the pillow. Thomas lay in the bassinet beside her, tiny fists clenched, face peaceful in the way only newborns could achieve. Danny sat down in the chair beside the bed and let out a long breath. It was over. Really, truly over. Victor Drake was dead. Marcus Drake was in prison. Volkov's network was being dismantled piece by piece. The trafficking victims were being rescued. And Danny was home. Sarah stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "Danny? I'm here." She reached for his hand, and he took it. "Is it done?" "It's done. Anna's safe. The bad guys are in custody. The hostages are free." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I was so scared. Every minute you were gone, I kept thinking—" "Don't think about it." Danny kissed her forehead. "I'm here now. I'm not going anywhere. Promise?" "Promise." Thomas stirred in his bassinet, making small sounds of discontent. Danny stood and lifted his son, cradling the tiny body against his chest. "Hey, little guy. Daddy's home." The baby's eyes opened, impossibly blue, infinitely trusting. Danny felt something crack inside him. A wall he'd built years ago, when he'd first learned that the world was full of monsters. A wall he'd reinforced with every deployment, every mission, every loss. Now, holding his son, that wall crumbled. "I'm going to protect you," he whispered. "I'm going to teach you right from wrong. I'm going to be there for every milestone, every triumph, every tear." Thomas yawned, unimpressed by his father's promises. Sarah laughed softly. "He's definitely your son." Danny smiled, a real smile, the kind he hadn't felt on his face in years. "Yeah, he is." 1 month later, Cedar Bay held a memorial ceremony. The town square was filled with people. Residents, federal agents, victims, survivors. A stone monument had been erected in the center, bearing the names of everyone who had died fighting the Drake operation. Thomas Miller's name was at the top. Sarah stood before the monument, Danny beside her, baby Thomas in her arms. Shadow sat at Danny's feet, his dark fur gleaming in the afternoon sun. "My father was a quiet man," Sarah said, her voice carrying across the silent crowd. "He didn't like attention. He didn't seek praise. He just wanted to do the right thing." She paused, composing herself. "For years, I thought he died in an accident, a random tragedy with no meaning. But now I know the truth. My father died fighting for justice. He died protecting people he'd never meet. He died believing that one person could make a difference." Sarah looked at Danny, at their son, at the town that had finally been freed from darkness. He was right. The crowd applauded, softly at first, then building to something stronger. After the ceremony, Anna Reyes approached Danny. "Nice speech. That was Sarah's speech." "I meant yours, the one you gave to Carter." Anna smiled. "He told me what you said, about protecting the innocent, about being a protector." Danny shrugged. "I just did what anyone would do." "No, you did what almost no one would do. And because of that, 47 people are free. A criminal empire is destroyed, and a town can finally heal." "It doesn't feel like enough." "It never does." Anna touched his arm. "But it matters. It always matters." She walked away, leaving Danny alone with his thoughts. Sarah appeared beside him, Thomas cradled against her shoulder. "You okay?" "Yeah." Danny put his arm around her. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About the future.
about what comes next. And what does come next? Danny looked at his wife, at his son, at the town he'd never expected to call home.
Carter offered me a job, consulting with the FBI's trafficking task force, part-time, based here. And I think I'm going to take it. Danny met her eyes. I tried to retire, Sarah. I tried to be done with this life. But I can't. The world is full of monsters, and I know how to fight them. I know you do. Are you okay with that? Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. I married a warrior. I knew that from the beginning. I didn't expect you to become someone else just because you came home. She touched his face. Just promise me you'll always come back. That's all I ask. I promise. Danny kissed her, long and deep and full of everything they'd survived together. When they separated, Thomas was making small sounds of protest at being ignored. I think someone wants attention, Sarah laughed. Danny took his son, cradling him close. Hey, buddy, you're going to grow up knowing something important. You're going to know that good still exists in this world, that there are people who fight for justice, even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous. Thomas stared at his father with wide, trusting eyes. You're going to know that your grandfather gave his life for the truth, that your mother is the bravest person I've ever met, and that your father will always, always protect you. The baby yawned. Danny laughed. One day you'll understand. Shadow pressed against Danny's leg, looking up at the tiny human with what seemed like protective approval. Sarah wrapped her arm around Danny's waist. Ready to go home? Yeah. Danny looked at his family, his wife, his son, his faithful partner. I'm ready. They walked away from the memorial, into the afternoon sun, into the future they'd fought so hard to earn. Behind them, the monument stood silent and strong, bearing witness to the sacrifices of the past. And above them, the sky stretched endless and blue, full of promise and hope. This story is not only about courage or justice. It is about how God places ordinary people in extraordinary moments, giving them the choice to stand or to flee. In our daily lives, we all face that choice, the choice to help or to walk away, the choice to speak up or to stay silent, the choice to fight for what's right, even when it costs us everything. Scripture reminds us, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua 1:9. Danny Mitchell was just a man, a husband, a father, a soldier who wanted to come home. But when evil threatened the people he loved, he chose to stand. And because he stood, lives were saved, families were reunited, justice was served. If this story moved you, let it be a reminder. You have that same choice every single day. Share this message with someone who needs courage. Leave a comment if you believe that protectors still walk among us. Subscribe so these stories can reach more hearts. And may God watch over you and your family, strengthen your spirit in times of trial, and place warriors in your path when the darkness comes. Because in the end, we are not defined by the battles we avoid. We are defined by the ones we choose to fight. And those who fight for love will never fight alone. Amen.